Today we're going to talk about fire extinguisher use and how to inspect them. Now, when a fire breaks out, the correct use of a fire extinguisher can make the difference between a minor or a major loss. They can also be an essential tool in helping a small fire not turn into a larger fire. The most important thing to remember during a fire is to get yourself to safety and to call the proper authorities to help fight the fire. If the fire is small and it's something you can control with a fire extinguisher, there are several things that you want to consider before you use it. First, with regard to responding to fires, when you see the fire, the first thing that you should do is pull the fire alarm and call the local fire department. Also notify your immediate supervisor. Make sure that you're following company policies and procedures when you're dealing with a fire. If you're attempting to extinguish a fire, you should first of all know what kind of combustible material is burning. Also have been trained to use a fire extinguisher correctly, which is something that we're doing currently, and make sure that the fire is still in the early stages. Now, if the fire gets out of control quickly, or you don't know what material is burning or how to properly use a fire extinguisher, you should evacuate the building immediately. Don't enter a building under fire for any circumstances. Always wait for a supervisor to advise you what to do next after a fire. Now, there are 4 classes of fires. We want to talk about that. A fire class is a system of categorizing fire with regard to the type of material and fuel for combustion. The class of fire also determines what type of extinguishing agent you need to use to put the fire out. A Class A fire involves ordinary combustible materials such as paper, wood, cloth, rubber, or plastics. A common extinguishing agent is water or a dry chemical. Class B involves flammable liquids, grease, or gases. The common extinguishing media are foam, carbon dioxide, or dry chemicals. Class C are live electrical fires or CO2. Sometimes the actual burning agent may be a Class A item, but a dry chemical extinguisher would be what you would want to use to extinguish that fire. Then Class D, these burning materials include combustible metals such as magnesium and sodium. Now, when you're dealing with these metals, special extinguishing agents need to be used in order to extinguish the fire. So before you try to extinguish a fire, you need to know the class fire you're dealing with to ensure that you're using the proper agent for putting the fire out. Now, we're going to talk about the PASS method. We've talked about this in the past. PASS is an acronym, PASS. That's something that's easy to remember, so you can know how to properly use a fire extinguisher in case of a fire. It stands for the 4 basic steps that you use. First of all, pull the pin, hold the extinguisher away from your body and release the locking mechanism. Then aim the stream towards the base of the fire. Do not aim at smoke or flames, as this will not put the fire out. Then squeeze. Make sure you squeeze the lever slowly and evenly. If you pull the lever too fast, you could shoot the stream where you're not intending to go with it, and you're going to be wasting valuable firefighting agent. And then sweep. Be sure to sweep the nozzle from side to side at the base of the fire to combat and extinguish the fire. Now, there are some fire extinguisher limitations. When you're using a fire extinguisher, it's important to know the limitations. Some of these include a dry chemical fire extinguisher, such as the common ABC extinguishers that we use quite a lot, will reach a distance between 5 and 20 feet. It's important for you to know what kind or what type of extinguisher is located in your work area and know the effective distance they can be used in case of a fire at work. 10 to 20 pound dry chemical fire extinguisher will last anywhere from 10 to 25 seconds. The length of the extinguisher is good for depends on the model type and weight you're using. So make sure you're familiar with how long the extinguisher can last. Then fire extinguishers are designed to fight small fires. This means that the fire should be about the size of a small trash can if you're looking to extinguish it with a basic fire extinguisher. If it's larger, you should seek help immediately. Now, knowing the model and the weight of the extinguishers located in your work area is crucial information when you're fighting a fire. Know the limitations of a fire extinguisher before you have to use it and put yourself in danger. Now, if you're inspecting a fire extinguisher, and you should inspect the ones that you have on your in your trucks, on your trailers. In order to keep the fire extinguisher in working order, a few things should be done periodically. And some tips include the extinguisher should be checked every 30 days. Now, when we come out and look and do your monthly inspection, we look at your extinguishers then, but you should do that yourself as well. There should be a formal check at least once a year, which we do, on site that's documented. And then ensure that the pressure is okay when you're inspecting the fire extinguisher. There's a gauge that has an arrow, and the arrow should be pointing and located within the green section of the gauge. If the arrow's in the red, the extinguisher needs to be flagged and put out of service until it's recharged. Also check to make sure the pin's still in place. Sometimes the pin can get bumped out, leaving the chance of an accidental discharge. And then also check for rust on the container and to ensure the label's in good readable condition. Following these tips should ensure that the extinguisher in your work area will be ready to use in case of emergency. In case of a fire at work, it's important to know more than just where the extinguisher is located. Make sure you know how to properly use the extinguisher, know the limitations of the extinguisher you will be using, and know the tips to keep the extinguisher in good working order. If you experience a fire at work, always notify your supervisor and the local fire department. Don't try to extinguish the fire if it's out of control. Make sure you get to safety. We'll draw that to a conclusion, and hopefully that'll be useful information for you.